Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Trevor. This is Andrew, and we are joined on the LFGRX podcast by Luis Patino. He is the owner of our affiliate micro gym, Build Body Fitness, and also the handle owner of the Garage Gym Coach. Thank you for joining us, Luis.
You're welcome, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I think we've talked about this for a good while.
Yeah.
Even
Yes, we
even like
have.
when the podcast was like kind of you guys were um talking about the idea of it. So I'm excited.
Mhm.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You were one of the folks that told us that it would probably be a good idea to do this. Even though we had
that's
this
right.
idea kind of ringing around in our minds for a little while prior to start launching the podcast, but yeah, you were another one of those proponents of going forward with it, and so we really appreciate that. And basically, Garage Gym Fitness altogether, kind of give us the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely, Trevor. So I kind of want to go back. So I have tons of ADHD, and it's something it's a constant joke in the podcast that we run, and I just kind of want to touch back on the idea of a podcast for you guys. There's so much power in a podcast. It's a time that you can interact with people, have such genuine conversations, and you
Mm.
can learn so much about the individual, the industry, ideas. You're able to build your brand. So I think the power of podcast is awesome. So
Yeah,
for
well said.
I think for those that are like even considering it, like just try it out. I mean, you you see us here in the video, and we each have a mic set up, but starting a podcast is super simple. Like you can have AirPods and a computer and
Hmm.
get yourself in a silent room and just start recording. So yeah, I just want to touch upon that. Like I think anyone that is considering it in their industry for any reason, like just try it out. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. You'll meet amazing people. And that's one way I feel like I've connected with you guys because of a podcast. And then the garage gym community, it's strong in the Instagram. So
Hmm.
you have garage gym experiment, which features in a lot of different podcasts. So uh, the place for it, it's there, and there's people that are they're stoked to listen. But yeah, no, back to my story, guys. So I became a coach around 2017. I worked for a big box gym, so I was very traditional. Like I originally worked for the gym as a front desk. They basically were like, "Man, you're always training. You're here before your shifts. Like, you move well too." That's what my manager, the trainer manager, said. So they offered like, "Have you ever thought of being a trainer?" And I was like, "Nah. Like, I'm going to school for business management slash like entrepreneurship. Like, I've never thought about being a trainer. I just really enjoy it." And in the gym there was a kid that he was younger than me, and he was a trainer. And I looked at him, I was like, man, this kid's like 20 years old and he's a trainer. Like, and I was like 24. Yeah, I was 24 or 23 or one of those. And I was like, oh, I can totally do it. So him and I are like best friends. We have like super good relationship. But I always joked around him. I was like, dude, like Zach, I looked at you and I was like, if you can do it, then I can do it. So I jumped on all the trainings that needed to be done. Became a trainer. Worked for that company for about 2 years, and basically leading up to the big shutdown that seems like it was so long ago. I had made the plans to move to Arizona because this is where now my wife was living at. It was living. So I made the plans to move around April like 4th of 2020, and I I found that the same gym company has two locations here in Arizona. So I filed my transfers and everything, and I was like, okay, cool. April, I'm going out there, and then shutdown happened like March 17th, and I ended up moving out here March 18th. Moved out here, sort of was like, okay, well, we need like there's no gyms open in Arizona. There's no signs of it being open anytime soon. And like I said earlier, I was going to school for entrepreneurship, business management. That's always been my mindset. Like I've always had an entrepreneurial kind of mindset. And I told at that time, she was my girlfriend. Now it's my wife, but at the time I told her, like, hey, let's just do a Facebook group and let's just do some live training. Let's charge, I don't know, like $20 and see what we can get. And that was like our first brand, and we named it like Focus Fitness. and it was just a Facebook group, and I believe we had like 20 or 30 people that joined it, and uh, give or take a little bit of her clients, a little bit of my clients, and a little bit of word of mouth. And we did that until it was time for basically to jump back into an actual studio. And I did not continue on with the gym that I was working at before that with the transfer. I didn't continue on with that. They were still closed. Arizona was actually closed from March till September. And I found like a little mom and pop's gym in Arizona that was doing the whole, we're closed, but like we were actually open. So I got to
Yeah.
work with them. Yeah, yeah, I got to work with them for about a year and a half, and I learned a ton from that gym. It was awesome. But we got to a point, we were already married, and we got to a point that we wanted to expand our family and have a kid ourselves. We already had my wife was already previous married, so she already had a son. We call him my bonus son, but we wanted to have a kid together, and we looked at our finances and we looked at everything, and I was like, man, like we're both working at this gym, we're not making ends meet. I need to go train somewhere else. And my journey went from basically working from big box to mom and pops to doing a jump to independent training. And then shortly after independent training, we moved to this house. We lived in a previous house before, but we moved to this one. It has a better garage than we were at before, and we were in a better financial place because of going independent. That the second day after moving in, I found the squat rack that I have now on the Facebook market. That was the best combo deal ever, guys. Like I jumped on the Facebook market, and it's not a known brand. It's fitness gear. I believe you get this one like a Dick's Sporting Good, but it was the squat rack, a 45-pound barbell, a really good barbell. I don't really remember what the brand is, but it's a good brand. It's not like a Walmart knockoff or even a Dick's Sporting Good. It was a really good barbell. About
Nice.
225 pounds worth of plates, uh, the entire floor that I have, a patch of
Mm.
floor. It had a bench that was the same brand. It was a fitness gear bench. I later upgraded. I don't have that one anymore. It had chains and oh, I think there was one more and a few like dumbbells, and I got it all for I think like 220.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah,
It's awesome, dude.
That's a
and
great deal.
literally that was the spark of finding deals. After that,
Nice.
after
Yeah, you don't
after
find
that,
those deals anymore.
no, you don't. You
No,
really,
no.
really don't. And this was 2020. This was what was it? Oh man, what was it? End of 2020? No, no. This was end of 2021. End of 2021. So it was around this time. It was around
That's nuts. Because
yeah, it
you
was
Yeah,
were
around
that's
finding deals
crazy.
like that,
yeah.
and in 2021, home gym equipment was still like people were selling. I was watching people sell their home gym equipment for more than what MSRP was.
Oh,
More
yeah.
than
Oh, yeah,
like,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely.
Especially towards the end of 2020,
Yes.
like
Oh my goodness.
fall of 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, equipment on Facebook Marketplace was insane.
oh,
Insane.
it was. So
Insane.
like
But
this
yeah.
deal, this deal was not an easy deal. I remember. So kind of backing up with the story, we moved into this house, and the next day we had our daughter. That's how crazy it was. So we
Oh man,
we
that's
we
nuts.
moved into this house. We slept the first night we slept in here. Then the second night we actually went to a concert. We had a client that invited us to go to a Dan and Shay concert with her and her husband. After the concert, my wife went into labor. So we spent 3 nights in the hospital because she had a C-section. But throughout that time, I saw the deal, and I'm negotiating it. And the deal was so good because uh, the Arizona market at that time was so hot, meaning so many people were moving in and finding houses and everything was extremely difficult. Like just finding this home was really really hard. This was we found it and moved in within like a week and a half period. That's
Hmm.
how crazy it was. And everything in the marketplace for gym equipment were people that were just sold their house because they were getting a crazy deal for it, and they were moving where they were either moving outside of Arizona or downsizing and taking that big chunk of money that they made. So this equipment was was like it belonged to the son of a mom, and she was the one selling it, and she was like, yeah, I just want it, we're moving and we just need it gone, and like my son wants more for it, but I told him like we don't have room. So uh I like was fighting for it. I was like, okay, I can go. I'm like in the hospital right now. Like I just had a kid, but I can go like tomorrow and pick it up and this and that. And the lady was like, yeah, I'll save it for you. And then we set an appointment, and she never gave me the address. And then I was like, can I please really, like, is this still available? You know, I'll give you like maybe $50 more. And she was like, oh no, you're fine. Sorry, I got caught up with the whole moving thing. And then yeah, so that deal really
Nice.
was what started it, man. Like this my whole garage gym that I have now really started based on that deal, and it was the best $220 that I've ever invested in my life, and it ended up paying for himself because I went nuts. Like I was like, okay, I got this deal, and then I found another deal, and then I resold, and then I went to Colorado for like for a friend's trip, and I got on the Facebook Market there. It's a tiny town. It's called Grand Junction, Colorado, Fruta, and I found some guy selling almost a whole set of dumbbells for, I kid you not, it was like 66 cents or maybe even less a pound. I think I got them for less than that. And
Wow.
I was like,
Dude.
hey, I'll take them all. And he was like, you want them all? I'm like, yeah. I loaded them up to like my hatchback, and I got home and I had the same weight, but these were newer. And then I just sold my entire set for probably like a
Yep. Made a
dollar
profit.
25.
Yep.
Yeah, I sold it for probably like a dollar 25. Well, I put a dollar 50, knowing someone wanted to negotiate me, and it came down, and I sold it for probably like a dollar 25, and it paid for my entire new weight set. And it's been one thing after another until probably last year. Last year was my final year. This year 2023, I've done no flipping, no purchases. It's been all about growing our clientele, maintaining our clientele, and kind of maybe expanding out of it.
Nice. That's
That-
exciting. That's a fun story. I like the I like the Facebook negotiation and getting your dollar's worth out of marketplace. That's
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
because you're figuring this out as you go. You're building a business off like one piece of equipment at a time. When did you actually start bringing people into your garage to start training? Was that first deal that you struck, or did you get it to a certain point where you're like, okay, it's good enough now, I'll invite people over?
No, that's a great question. It was pretty immediately after, but it wasn't with the intention to turn this into the place where we're going to train our clients. It was actually, my intentions of building the gym was for my wife. So my wife is comfortable talking about this. So she suffers from postpartum depression like really hard. So uh, when I met her, our son was 2 years old. So I didn't experience that postpartum depression that she went through, but she told me about it. And one
yeah.
of the things that she uses training for is really managing that. And we have no family in Arizona, like zero. My family is all the way in Florida, where I grew up, Orlando, and her family is in California, Huntington area. So here in Arizona, there was nothing, and she was telling me through the pregnancy, like, how worried she was because we didn't own any gym equipment prior to it. She was worried that we can't afford a sitter or a gym membership with daycare. And even if we did at that point, like if we could afford it, when we were talking about it, like you can't do that until the baby's a certain age. So she was worried that for maybe 2 months or three, like she was going to get no workouts. So my original deal was like, okay, I'm going to build her a garage gym so she can come in and work out, and not undergo that really difficult depression that none of us guys can understand.
Hmm.
And it was it wasn't till, and I'll kind of backtrack, but it wasn't till January of 2022 that we made the official switch of training here full time. So prior to that, I had set up everything, and what happened is I'd message a client and I was like, "Hey, this night's a little rough for my wife. Are you okay coming into the house and we just modify your workouts with the equipment I have?" And it was a simple, yeah, that's totally fine. Just send me your address. Cool, send me the address. Oh, that's even closer than where you're training. Great, cool. I'll see you then. The next client does the same thing, like, hey, or the next morning, I tell them like, hey, we had a really rough night. I've always been a trainer from 5 a.m. So since I began, I've been a 5 a.m. trainer since 2017. So that's where my clientele is at. So I'd message someone like at 3 a.m. and I was like, hey, I'm hoping you see this when you wake up. It's been a super rough night. Are you okay if we train at my house? And I'll modify your stuff with what I got. Oh yeah, yeah, totally fine. We understand. And when it eventually became like those times where we were back to the gym, I realized the clients were more comfortable here. And then fast forwarding a
That's
little
neat.
bit, yeah. So our fast forwarding a little bit from the time that we had our daughter in October till January, uh, we had maybe we're doing maybe at the beginning it was probably 5 sessions a week out of like the 18 a week that I would do were in the garage gym.
Mhm.
The rest were at the gym that I was training at. And then eventually we noticed started becoming from 5 a week to 10 a week. So 10 a week out of like the 18 or 20s sessions a week that I was doing.
Mhm.
And around January, we were invited uh, to go to a very popular garage gym. I don't really want to mention names, but a very popular social media garage gym that's here in Arizona. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, I want to go there. I've seen this thing on TikTok. This
Mhm.
place is freaking sick. And we go there, and lo and behold, this place is phenomenal. Like, this is the most glorious garage gym that you can imagine. The guy's, he's been building this for 7 years. So when someone's built something for 7 years, we forget to remember, like, that it wasn't like that in the beginning.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. Like, if you look at my garage gym and someone compares it, you don't realize like this is not what it looked like in the beginning. It wasn't until a year and a half in that it it, it kind of we modeled it to be more professional. We kind of built a theme of colors.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mhm.
so just to kind of slow myself down
You know,
is
to that point, if I may jump in, that's
yeah.
largely why we frame our questions in the beginning as your home gym or garage gym journey, because it's
Mhm.
unless you've got a massive amount of money just sitting to the side and you can invest in all the equipment up front, that's not the story for most of us.
Mm-mm.
That we start
Mhm.
from very humble beginnings and we catch this bug and then we keep adding to it because there's more space. So I've got space over in this corner of the room. I've got wall space over here for control
Yeah.
unit, and so you
Yeah,
just keep adding to it over time. It's
and you
super
get
exciting to
creative.
listen to people's stories because we all pretty much start from the same spot.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, we do. And I'm
I got to pause real quick. Trevor, you can jump into the next question. My kid just woke up from her nap, and if you can't hear her,
Yeah. No
she's
problem. No
losing it. So
problem.
let me
we
go
get it.
put a screen in front of her
No
real
we're
problem.
quick.
we're all
Do it.
we're all
Yeah.
fathers here, so we get it. I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things about having a garage gym is just also having your family that you can just really quickly have next to you or be with you. But uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I mean, and I'll jump back into it. But I didn't buy anything new. My first piece of new equipment wasn't till so we started in October. We moved in October 2021. It wasn't probably till July or August of 2022. And my
Oh wow.
first brand
Okay.
yeah, my first like brand new piece of equipment was the Maverick bar by PhenoX. And I was like,
Yeah, I think we've talked about that
we've
before. The
we
Maverick
have.
bar. Yeah.
We have. I absolutely love that thing. And I remember I looked at it. I looked at the price and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. Like, this is a great price. This is going to give me so much. Like, I'm in a point that now I can buy new equipment. And then from there, it was like a bench because the bench that I originally got from the OG deal, some of the welding, broke off because it wasn't a bench to sustain daily training. It's a
Mm,
great bench for
yeah.
for like if my garage gym was just for myself and my wife, it's a great bench. But when you start
Mhm.
getting into actually training and using the equipment daily, you don't want commercial grade, but you don't want obviously just like base grade home equipment. You want to find the middle point. So I mean, yeah, later on I had to buy a new bench, and then later on I bought the my functional trainer, and then later on what else new have bought I bought some new plates, and later on so my new stuff wasn't until almost 11 months 10 months into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you do you still operate with that rack that you bought
Yeah.
originally?
Yeah, I mean, there's been multiple times that I've wanted to upgrade it, and I've
Yeah.
like looked at my account. I'm like, oh, I can totally upgrade this right now. But I've also
Mhm.
like thought like, where else could I put that? Because this is a business for me.
Yeah.
It's not so much
Yep.
just a hobby, So how can I allocate
Yeah.
this for better business funds? And I'm like, it's doing what it
Yeah.
needs.
Where
And
am I
I'm
going to
and
see
yet
the biggest
Mhm.
return?
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I do want some attachments. I think some attachments are phenomenal. It really changes your home gym experience, but that would be more for me. It wouldn't be for my clientele, you know.
Hmm.
hmm
Yeah. That
Now,
What
are
makes
you
type of
doing this full time? Is this
full
your full
time?
time gig now?
It's my full
Dude,
time.
awesome. Tell us about some of the
Yeah.
tricks of the trade. What makes you successful in being able to sustain your lifestyle off of this business?
Yeah, well, let me go back again to the story because I didn't want to finish it because I know you had to go check on your child.
Hmm.
So after we go to this gym, it's phenomenal. It's just like outstanding. I look at my wife and I'm a visionary person. It goes back to the entrepreneur, and I was like, man, if he can do this, like, there's no reason why I cannot. But I didn't look at it like if he can get his gym to be this phenomenal and Instagram famous and social media famous, like I can too. I looked at it more like if he can get clients and charge his ridiculous amounts because for him it's more of an experience, like you're really paying for
Hmm.
the total experience. Like yes, he's a professional, he has good education, but when it comes to that level of experience of that kind of gym that he ran, the price really goes, it matches the environment that you're in. So anyways, I
Yeah.
looked at my wife and I was like, if he can do this, like we can totally do this. And not to
Yeah.
sound like egotistical in a way, but my experience there in his gym was phenomenal. My experience with him and trying to connect with him was awful. Like
Mm.
I ended up feeling like I was like nothing when I was trying
Hmm.
to learn. And I was like, man, this person inspired me, the things he did, but he didn't inspire me of the type of person he is. And
Mm.
I I know with like the intention that I have, the way that I love to educate new trainers, because that trip that I was invited there was because I help my wife and I sometimes go to this school called National Personal Training Institute, and we'll teach classes
Okay.
on functional training. My wife will teach classes on postpartum. We'll have them shadow us. We're like, hey, I just messaged us so you can come shadow us. So I have this love to help trainers and educate them. I was like, we can totally do this. So the very, very, very next day, we had a gift card to Home Depot that we received, like I can't remember when we received it, but it was a client of ours that gave us a $50 gift card to Home Depot. And I was like, hey, we're buying paint. We are going to move the whole gym. We're gonna get like some panels for the cover to insulate the door, and we're gonna do this.
Hmm.
And we did that all with the $50 gift card, and we painted it. And painting it was like day and night. And then the next day we told all our clients like, hey, we're no longer going to train over at the gym, we're going to be training out from our house. They all got stoked, and really the success has come from having a vision and not comparing my vision, but believing on what I'm capable of doing, and looking at it as, if I consistently continue to do this and I don't give up, like I'm gonna reach further than what I believed I could do. And it comes down to the
Hmm.
same thing as
Hmm.
training. Like I tell the same thing to my
Yeah.
clients. Like if you stay consistent and you move and you continue to move forward and don't give up, you're gonna realize you're gonna become stronger than you thought you could become. And I apply that
Yeah.
to business as well. So like Andrew, going back to your question is,
Yeah.
the reason I've been able to sustain this, it has been because one, I'm very frugal in the idea of knowing like I'm only 28, and this opportunity is able to sustain my life.
Hmm.
But if I just get carried away with also going out and spending money and eating out and hanging out with friends and uh maybe traveling or even buying new more equipment when I don't need it, um
Hmm.
I'm never gonna achieve my end goal. And my end goal is is the entrepreneurship goal, where I have a business working for me, where
Yep.
I
It's a
build
dream.
something but I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to train the client. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
been really what sustained us, because I have that mindset. My wife struggles with it, man. My wife struggles with it so hard, and she's been an incredible support. But in the beginning, like living in within like below your means
Yeah.
wasn't natural for her. And for me, it's kind of been natural in two ways: mindset and just my experience growing up. I grew up pretty single mom. I had a sister. We all had to fend for ourselves by like the age of 12. You can say like, she started babysitting. I started doing workouts like as as I could as a 12-year-old, cutting, mowing the lawn, helping people move, doing those things, paying for, if I wanted a phone at the age of 15, I had to get my own phone. At
Hmm.
the time we got like 16, 17, we had to help in the house for light, electricity, whatever bills that we could help my mom at. So it's a little bit of both. It's just kind of like the life experience I had, and then the vision of thinking like there's more to come. Like just be patient with what I've earned.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
And
great. I think it's really cool that you could recognize that your ceiling was a little bit higher outside of working for someone else, and you wanted to own your own kind of destiny and own that journey of yours. I think that's really cool.
well, I think we all want to do that. Like, I mean, look at GoRX.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
that's the
And do it
vision
for
with,
other people too.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you had your own gym and you realized like, whoa, this is a potential return of investment. Um,
Absolutely.
and you're looking like, okay, well, how can I make a little extra income without being the person that shows up every single day to earn that income? I mean, not
Hmm.
saying you're not showing up for your business as GoRX, but you wanted something in your house as a side hustle, and then eventually turn into, whoa, if I can do this in one house and I've earned a little bit of an income, now I'm profitable. I can do this
Hmm.
throughout a platform.
Yeah. Yeah, and just make it easier for people, right? Andrew had a process down and had done a ton of research to help people even just build out their own affiliates or sorry, micro gyms. And so
Hmm.
um, he he recognized in the beginning that in and of itself is a valuable aspect of this process and the journey. And so being able to get ahead of people and tell them, hey, these are the things you need to look at prior to starting your LLC, prior to even making this leap into a micro gym. You need to know if you can. You need to know what your local
Hmm.
regulations are. You need to know what your HOA says, or if you have any sort of barrier to entry from that standpoint. If you don't own your home, you have to find out from your landlord if you could even entertain an idea like that. And so
Oh
with
yeah, I mean,
Andrew being able to
we don't
bridge
own
that.
our home, so that was a difficult
Yeah.
thing. Like that was a very difficult one where it was like, okay, we go full send, we got to let we got to let the homeowners know,
Hmm. Yeah.
so uh LLC,
And
like
you're
no,
living
not.
proof that it's can be done. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that
Hmm.
stop at I rent my
Hmm.
gym. And that's where
Yeah.
this micro gym dream of theirs ends. Is
Yeah.
that,
Hmm.
well, I'm in a rental. You are living proof that you can work out that relationship in a way that is respectful of what
Hmm.
your landlord's concerns would be. I'm curious, without obviously divulging too much, what were some of the ways that you approached your landlord about this, and how'd you get them on board?
That's a good question. Just because I'm very mindset of like I'm giving you the money every single month, so, and I'm not destroying your house, so like this shouldn't be a problem. So that's because I have that mindset. I just told them like, hey, you guys know how I run my own business, and because when I submitted like my move-in paperwork, they wanted like W-2s, and I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I don't do
Yeah.
W-2s. I have 1099. I run my own business. Da da da. And I just told them like, hey, so I'm gonna be running my training business out from the garage. There's not gonna be no damage to your house. If anything, I'm gonna make sure I leave it at a better place than I got it. So, I'm doing some painting. Walls are gonna be covered back up, white when we leave. I there the we vet all our clientele, so we're not gonna bring anyone in the house that's destructive. And it was all
Hmm.
kind of like just an email base, and uh, the response was pretty simple. Was I mean, you damage anything that just comes out of your deposit, and if it's more than your deposit, we'll file for
Hmm.
our part. And that was kind of it. I got pretty blessed that the house that it was an emergency to move here, because we were planning on renewing in our last house, and if that would have happened, we wouldn't have done the garage gym, just because the where we lived before was kind of those houses where your parking is only your garage. You cannot park. There's no driveways, and
Mm.
then there's
Yeah.
just like
Common, yeah.
there's just like guest parking and like one overnight spot.
Yep.
So long story short, like we wouldn't have never done this. But
Hmm.
they right when we were supposed to re-sign our lease, which they had known for months that we were re-signing, and they told us that it was fine. They were like, "Oh, the owners decided to sell, so you guys have to move out at the end of the month." So that's why
Oh,
well,
man.
that's what was crazy. But
Yeah.
I got pretty
Yeah.
blessed that this neighborhood that we selected is a wonderful neighborhood. There's no HOA, and you look at the neighborhood, and most people are like, "Wait, there's no HOA here," because it's a whole family neighborhood. It's very clean.
Hmm.
All the houses still have kind of like the same um, architecture where you see it in an HOA place, but there's no
Mhm.
HOA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I lucked out on that one. I have hard feelings for HOA, so I think if I would also had an HOA, like I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
Like
I've
I
read
kid
through
you
so
not. Like
many HOAs. I will
Oh
never
man.
get a house
Yeah.
with the HOA.
Can't
It
stand
will not
HOAs.
happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a kind person, but if I'm putting money into something, like I'm like, no, I'm gonna have this thing almost my way. So if there would have been an HOA and they would have given me like troubles, oh man, like I would have fought it. I'm like, I'm not disturbing the neighborhood. I am not taken away from parking. Like this is an open parking, place. Like yeah, I would have
Yeah.
struggled. I would have struggled for sure, making sure that the approach was friendly if an HOA gave me too much trouble. Because I've had
Mhm.
HOAs that are awful, and it's not just in like places that I lived at. I did summer sales, so I had to do door to door knocking, and man, I was in
Mm.
neighborhoods where their HOAs were just savage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lived in a neighborhood where, yeah, I mean, the shade of our stain was off by one. And so we got in trouble for that. Or, like didn't take the trash can back in after it got picked up in the morning until maybe the next morning or something along those lines where you just get these notifications. You're like, wow, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not detrimental to the neighborhood, but yeah,
You know,
you run
as
into situations like that.
as difficult as they can be too, sort of building on what Trevor's talking, like there are ways to address these concerns,
Mhm.
in how you approach the HOA, right?
right.
And how you like um basically frame your business objectives such that it uh, addresses their concerns
Mhm.
through through the bylaws. Sorry, I've got a kid on my lap, so if you're listening, my daughter's been freaking out.
You're all
Well,
So
right. Don't worry
it
about it.
yeah,
with
You're
with the
still
on my lap.
engaging, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
with
yeah,
the HOA, it's almost like a business pitch. You have to create almost like a pitch deck, let them know like this is your plan, and let them
exactly.
know how it's going to help the neighborhood. So although I
Mhm.
did say like I would have a hard time with HOA, I would only have a hard time if they took my delivery and just was like, no, this is absolute not. And I'm like, like
Yeah, if they
I've
weren't
shown
open to,
exactly, and that's
yeah.
the problem with some HOAs. They're just not open to it at all. And
Mhm.
the hard thing is that they have their rules and regulations which they follow, but then there's also the person that runs it. So if they have an open mind, they're great, they're awesome. But sometimes you do have HOA people that run it that they're just not open minded at all,
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, that was kind of my approach with the renting, and I did have one time where uh the landlord just wanted to know out of concern, like, hey, um like is there too much foot traffic? They just kind of wanted to know that. And I let him know, like, like, well, I only train, or training is just very, 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 it's not like we have clients here all day long. We just do 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. But typically during the summers, we end all their training around 11. So like
Okay. Yeah.
you're only getting like there's footstep, but it's not. This isn't like a group fitness gym. This is all one on one. We
Hmm.
max out. We max
Yeah.
out at 2 clients at a time, and we call that tandem training. We don't do training where my wife is in here and I'm in here and she has her client and I have my client. We really just provide the whole space for one person, or if there's two, it's
Hmm.
because they're a couple.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That
so
makes sense.
they weren't too concerned. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were to take your rate and just like half it, so if you're doing $80 in a session and you're doing 40, I mean, you have three people, that's 120. So
Hmm.
that's obviously that's
Yeah.
going to be more than just having one person. Um,
Yep. Yep.
if you have two, that's where it's almost like you're doing two for the price of one, so it really benefits for the three on the small group. But we don't run the small group. Like I said, we keep it at one-on-one or tandem.
Hmm.
It's just the most comfortable model for us, for the space, for what we want to charge, and be able to
Yeah.
provide
That makes sense.
our quality service. And our quality service comes from us really focusing on our clients' overall movement patterns. And
Hmm.
when you're doing that small group, like three people, it's just really hard. You're just there to get them almost to sweat and move. And we're not in the focus of just get you here to sweat and move. We're here in the focus of move well, which is our motto: move well and then lift heavy. First, the
Yep.
move well has to be established. That's what's going to help all our clients, and this is our style of training. That's what's going to help our clients have longevity. To what's going to help our clients not experience the awful knee aches that a lot of people do when they first start training, or the awful hip aches, or if they come in with any problems. I mean, low back problem is the most common type of chronic pain that everyone, not just Americans, everyone will experience. Uh,
Hmm.
so if I have someone coming in, they have chronic back pain, and I have a small group, I can't really give them the service that they need to get them out of that back pain. But if I have two,
Yep.
like a couple, it's a little bit easier because the couple understands that I'm working with each of them at their level. When it's three, it's like, well, you're spending too much time here, or not giving me enough time, or whatever. So that's why we don't run it.
Mm.
Sorry, Trevor looked like you had a question on your mind. That's all, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I was gonna ask you. Do you currently like run ads to bring people in, or are you more word of mouth generated for any new clientele?
Yeah, I've never run ads. I've thought about running ads. I mean, I'll tell you this: like it all looks great and fancy, and we'll post about clients. Sometimes very consistently. Sometimes I'm awful about posting clients, but you look at us through a social media lens, and it's like, wow, man, these guys are killing it. They're crushing it. And I mean, no,
Hmm.
we've had months that were difficult. We had months where
Yeah.
it was like, man, can we sustain this as like our full time? Like, is this even possible? I mean, uh, you know, electricity prices have gone up for us during the summer. I mean, we run two AC units because we're in Arizona. So my regular bill before I even put AC units here for the house on electricity was like maybe 210, 180 during the spring. And then when when summer was coming, I was like, oh, well, we need AC in there. I got two units. I can't put a hole in the wall because, again, I don't own this house. So they're two
Hmm.
portable systems. I vent them through the attic because I have an attic cover. So I created my own cover. I just bought some plywood, made my own cover. So that way I didn't break their cover. And then it's vented and it's the perfect hole. So my electricity,
Nice.
went from that to I had months at $700, $800. It
Hmm.
was insane. So, anyways,
Yeah.
my wife and I would talk. I'm like, man, like, can we sustain that? I was like, all right, well, maybe we need to like run an ad. Maybe we need to do more promotions on for our clients to like give us referrals. And it comes back to some of my rules of being frugal. Because we're frugal, we were able to make it through those hard months, even though we didn't run an
Hmm.
ad. And then the next month, we would have a client come back or three new clients, and that really, I mean, when you have three new clients in a month, that's already a $3,000 pretty much raise that you have.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
just depending on what the overall package is, but it's hard, and we know
Yeah.
we have not run any ads. We've thought about it. Uh, like I said, we've gotten close to the point where we were like, man, we need to run ads, and we didn't. And I'm happy I haven't run any ads. I think about it sometimes, and then I think about, okay, well, if we run more ads, how will this ad react? You never know. So
Yeah.
if this ad that I run, and we're only 2 employees, basically my wife and I, if this ad that I run, let's say it's phenomenal, we crush it. We have a good marketing agency that helps us, because I don't believe on doing it myself, because that's how you really lose money on ads. I'd rather pay an agency and they know how to perfect it in the certain area with the certain words rather than do it myself. So I thought about, like, hey, what if we do this and we kill it and we have this influx of people that just have a demand, and then we can't hold on to that, and then we put them on
Mm-hmm.
this like list, but by the time like they need that demand now. So I just ran this ad, had an influx. We can't sustain it. We take all of these clients, but then we're trashed, like we're exhausted. End of the day, we just have no energy for each other as a couple. We have no energy for our kids. So there's the other mindset of like, well, what if we run an ad and it doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
What if I run
Yeah.
it and I get no clients, and I just put
Yep.
$200 in this ad, and it was like, holy crap, that was such a waste of money, and I could have used that
Mm-hmm.
$200. So because we're so small, I I my recommendation to any micro gym owners, like, just don't do it. I don't know. That's my
Yeah.
recommend. Like, don't do it.
Start
Just keep,
with word of mouth and
yeah,
referrals and just kind of prospecting on your own.
yeah, keep it word of mouth. I mean, there's gonna be so much
Yeah.
power in word of mouth. Our clientele, which I love, they all been with us for 2+ years. Like, we have clients that, because they've been with us for so long, they have the best, like their mouth is the best referral system, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a
Mhm.
reason they're with us for 3 years. Like, they're willing to trust us so much that they're like, I just love going with them. I mean, prior to the podcast, I was doing a session. It was a virtual when I lived in Utah. When she was like my first or second client. I want to say she was my second client. She's been with me through the whole thing. Like, even during shutdown, she stayed with me during the Facebook Zoom sessions, or Facebook
Mm-hmm.
Live sessions. And then when that ended, she stayed with me through Zoom, and then she has remained with me through Zoom all through since 2000. Well, since 2020. So they're if you can build a solid clientele and they trust you and they're going to be with you long term, like, you you can bet that, like, you're gonna have something sustainable, and they'll refer you, and someone will call you and be like, hey, you're working with Mike, and Mike's loved it. If we've heard your name for like the last 3 years, and gatherings and
Yeah.
family events and barbecues and picnics. What's your rate like, or what do you want to do? And that's where you either get them or you lose them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that creates confidence if especially if it's coming from someone that they know or they trust, then creates confidence in you already through that
Yeah.
person. So that person is the catalyst to give them the backing to stick with something, even if maybe they didn't like the first session or something like that, right? And then
Mhm.
they'll give it more leeway
Yeah.
and be a little bit more willing to put in a
And
little bit of
I mean,
investment themselves.
one thing that I've done, and it's again, it's not the ad, but we've built a really good Google My Business page. That one's
Yeah.
been super crucial, and it comes
Yeah,
down to, like,
we
are you?
tell people this every time that we talk to micro gym owners that
Yeah.
launch or are thinking about it. It's one of the easiest way to get organic reach.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, they're like, wherever you go, gym near me
Yeah.
is a search that people conduct. That are
It
looking for fitness options. For
Yeah.
me,
it
it's
is.
my primary lead gen. That
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook, my local Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
I don't run paid ads either because I tried in the beginning just to see how it would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I got more, they felt like bots, but they weren't
Yeah.
reliable leads. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and my dollars were just not, I was getting no return on investment.
Hmm.
Exactly. It's
Makes
really
sense.
it's we're in this, like, again, it's a micro gym. All right, you have micro gym, you have mom and pops, and then you have big box. All right, or you
Mm-hmm.
can call it
Yep.
micro gym, boutique, and big box. And that idea that we're micro gym, not saying not to behave like a big box gym, but there are certain things that you can't do like a big box gym. And I really think
Mhm.
ads is that one. Like, all right, you don't have the pockets for it. These people that run these
Yeah.
ads are because they got investors under them that are going to just back it up. They have their advertising company or funds are like, you know, just put it all back in, put it all back in, put it all back in. And
Mhm.
you got a little gym at the house, like you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can, and then unfortunately, you're gonna have that down, that those down moments where you're like, man, this isn't working. Like, gosh, I put so much money
Yeah.
into this. You know,
It's
I
Yeah.
also
mean, I've.
what makes microgyms unique, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because now you have to focus on the value that you
mm-hmm,
provide. So microgyms are forced in this case to be value driven. And so
Mhm.
how can I create value for my clients so that they will go out and tell their friends about their experience here?
Yep.
And so you get scrappy,
and
that
it's.
frugal mindset. You get real
Mhm.
scrappy about how you can, add value to your clients.
And I mean, like, so if you saw an ad, think about this. If you saw an ad, you're on Instagram or your Facebook, and you see, um, something about what do you call it? Like not wedding. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say wedding cakes. I'll just say an ad about food. Something about food. Burgers, local burgers, awesome. And you pull up and you realize this person's making the burgers in their backyard. Like, are you really gonna go out of your way and have a burger from someone that's making it in their backyard, or is it gonna be easier for you to just go to In and Out and have a burger? You know,
Yeah.
you might have
Yeah.
curiosity, like, wait, this guy is on says that his ad is like his burgers are making from home. Like, you'd be kind of confused, but your likelihood of confidence to going towards it is going to be really low. You're like, yeah, I don't know. They look good. Like the pictures look phenomenal, but it's at home. It's at their house. I don't know what they're making it with. I don't know their health regulations. I don't know this. So they go for the for the they go for the In and Out. It's a little bit the same with the micro gym. My Google, my business gets, I kid you not, I get about 1,700 searches, I think a month. It's like I get the report and it was like your business was searched 1,700 times through, gym near me.
Yep.
And
I get
Yeah.
hundreds.
Yeah.
my yeah, and then my address gets 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 put on Google Maps. Maybe like I would say like a 10 per no, I'd say 10% would be too much because I mean I'm getting 100. I'm getting about 47 to 60 ish Google my address, like people putting Google my address on it or saying
Mm.
like directions and take me there or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Start directions here or whatever.
Exactly. So I get
Mhm.
that, and I think about to myself like, okay, well, I'm not getting 1,700 calls. No, I'm not getting 1,700 calls.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not getting, 80 or 47 to 70 or 60 whatever people knocking my door. So
Mhm.
what are those people thinking when they see my gym? Maybe it's just
Mhm.
curiosity. All right, curiosity. And I'll tell you this story. This is actually really cool. One of my gym floors that I have, because I was like, man, I need like I have some I have three types of gym floors. One where the like were like the puzzle piece ones, but with actual like made with actual
Yeah.
gym rubber material. It's like
Hmm.
about an
Mhm.
inch thick, I want to say. And then the other ones that I have, and I got these all through like deals, were like those basic Amazon ones that kind of look like a gym floor, but they're not grippy. And then you have
Yeah.
the other puzzle piece that is looks like a child's playroom or has the feeling of a child playroom foam, but it has the gray color for a gym. So I was like, man, I need to get a better flooring because for squats, like I like all my clients to squat barefoot and in socks basically, and it's like not gripping. So I saw a guy giving away for free a two pieces
Nice.
of gym floor that they weren't stall mats, but they were kind of the size of stall mats. They were the size of basically a deadlift platform, and there was two of them. And I messaged him. I was like, hey, dude, um, are these still available? He's like, oh yeah, I just finished setting up. I got these from a friend. Da da da. I went over, and when he's like, oh, what are you using this for? And I was like, oh, I run a private training gym from my house. He's like, oh, cool. He's like, let me look at it. So I showed him the picture. He's like, oh wait, I saw that on Google. I saw you, dude. I
Mhm.
almost gave you a call, and I was like, why
I
didn't
love
you
it.
give me a call?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in my mind, I was like, why didn't you do it? But he became a client later on. Like Jay
Yeah.
became a client, and he was a
That's
client of mine.
awesome.
He was a client of mine for about 4 months until he graduated in his college. He was married and had a kid, and then he got an internship for a job. And my hours didn't work no more with him. And then
Hmm.
he's having a baby soon. So, uh, we took a step back from training, but I was like, someone seeing it, they didn't give me a call. So I had to analyze, why are people not calling,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is where it comes in, where uh, we're deciding to lean into the garage gym. So when people
Hmm.
Google us, they know immediately that we're the garage gym coaches versus Build Body
Yeah.
Fitness, which in their mind is like, wait, is this
Yep.
a gym in town, like a small gym? And then they put the direction like, wait, no, this is a neighborhood. I'm not trying to go a neighborhood. I want to go to a gym. But now
Yeah.
my searches will show like immediately, hey, no, this is a garage gym. So if you're clicking on it, it's because you're curious about a garage gym.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Kind of creating your own category in that area.
You
Um,
have
I
to.
hate to
You
cut
have
this
to.
conversation too short, but where can people find you? How can they follow you? How can they get a hold of you? Especially folks in the Phoenix area. How can they get a hold of you, and how can they come by and work out?
No, you're good. So pretty simple to get a hold of me. Well, one, if you go obviously on your affiliate website, you can find my gym
Hmm.
there. It's under Build Body Fitness. We, like I just said, we're doing a rebrand, so that we are associated as a garage gym, and we build on that garage gym idea. So
Hmm.
they're gonna see just the garage gym coaches. So my Instagram is I'm the garage gym coach. We're gonna together, my wife and I, be the garage gym coaches. If we get to a point where we can hire a coach, then that builds continually into that brand. So
Yep.
your website, they can follow me, they can find me, through Instagram at the Garage Gym Coach. They can find us through our podcast Instagram, which is the Strength Beyond Fitness podcast. My wife's
Yep.
Instagram is ad Renee. No, she's ad Coach Renee, Renee, and then Ayako, which is my middle name, Ayoko. I think that's it, Coach Renee Ayako. It might be Nishi,
We'll
which,
drop it in the
yeah,
description for you.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's one of
also
those.
it's also
Yeah,
on your Instagram and your bio.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
yeah.
It's on my Instagram,
Um,
and then Google my business. I mean, if you type in Garage Gym Coaches and you're in Arizona, you should find me on Google My Business and just give a call. We do drop-ins for private training, but I typically
mhm.
like to have 48 hours in advance. I
Mhm.
still have not opened up the gym for open gym kind of services, very similar to how you guys offer it. We haven't opened the gym for
Yep.
that. I can't say that's in the future plans. Uh, we our bread and butter is the
That
direct,
personal training.
the
Yeah.
personal training. So
Yep.
those are the places. And honestly, I my mission, honestly, like my personal life mission, is to help people get closer to their goals. If they're a lot similar to mine, I can help them recognize,
Hmm.
or I can help them not what's the thing, like I can help them skip the steps that I just fought really hard through, because
Yeah.
there's a
Not
lot of
focus on
things.
the unnecessary steps
Yeah,
in that journey.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that, like, I've learned through it. Like, just it's I've had to learn it by making the decision and realizing that was not the best decision, or by research. And if I can take someone's, like, if they have 4 hours, and I can minimize that and let them know, like, hey, you don't have to put 4 hours into this. Let me help you out. I'll help you out. So
Hmm.
just reach out to me, and I'm an open book. I'm not one that's gonna be like, oh well, I'm gonna charge you or anything. Like, you want to know how to, like, lift off your garage gym business as a coach. That's like where I thrive in. I'll help you. I'll give you guidance. I'll be your
Hell
biggest
yeah.
cheerleader. I'll like all your posts. I'll comment on your posts. I'll share it. I'm an advocate for sharing other coaches. I think that's where the industry can really unite, and there's less
Yeah.
less competition. So yeah,
Yeah, we love that. We love that. And then we definitely need to bring you back again because I just have so many questions, but I also want to bring you back kind of after this rebranding and get some insight into, how things have gone and some of the tips and tricks throughout rebranding and things that you maybe thought you needed to do that maybe you didn't, or vice versa. And so I think that'll be great content for people that are thinking of launching or trying to even rebrand themselves to go from, maybe just a personal trainer or an online personal trainer to in person and micro gym. And so,
And I will,
yeah.
and I think it'll be good. And I'll say this, just kind of finish off. Like there's also a difference when you rebrand from a micro gym to if you want to expand to commercial. And you might have a phenomenal, crazy good brand, but that brand might just be good for the micro gym. If you get to a point of capital, or you get to a point of success that you can expand to an actual location, remember like the branding of a micro gym towards a boutique, once again going on back to like how their different levels are different. So we can touch upon all those things. I'd be more than happy to do that. So I appreciate you guys a lot. I think what you guys are doing for the industry is super cool. And I'll be full honest, like I need to just have a conversation with you guys outside of this to take more advantage of the affiliate program, because I get caught up with what I'm already doing that I miss out on taking advantage of it. And I'm all the time, I've told my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to like get on the affiliate program and be more involved of using the program.
Yeah, we would love that. We would love that. I
my
mean,
apologies on
there's
my
only so many
end.
hours in the day, right?
Good, man.
Yeah. No, we would love that. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it's the Build Body Fitness is the affiliate in GoRX's platform right now. It'll soon change to the Garage Gym Coach,
Coaches.
and then the Garage Gym Coaches, and then at the Garage Gym Coaches on Instagram is where you can find them. Their podcast is Strength Beyond Fitness. This was Luis Patino. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely have you back for a part 2 of this conversation, so we can continue just pestering you with questions and getting as much information out of you as possible.
I love it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, on the LFGRX podcast. You can find us anywhere on where podcasts are streamed, and please just like, subscribe, rate, review, everything that you can do to support this podcast. Go to our website, gorxfitness.com, gorxfitness.com. Check out some of our apparel on there, anything like that. That's another good way of kind of supporting what we're doing and what we're trying to build. And find us on Instagram, find us on any of the social media platforms that you can think of. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, Luis, and we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Cheers.